We have for us today Community Service Manager Emma Agnew and Traffic Engineer Mark Nichols. The mayor will be here shortly, and I think Jeff Presley, the E911 director, is going to be here to talk to you about a project that he has going on. Emma is representing us in the homeless project, and Emma, if you would like to come say a few words and talk.
Well, as Bill said, I'm Emma Agnew. I'm the Community Services Manager, and I facilitate the Homeless Task Force, which was organized in continuation of a previous task force by Mayor Perrin in the fall of last year, 2015, to explore homelessness and develop a comprehensive long-term plan for ending homelessness. Task force members include service providers and community volunteers who are all extremely passionate about this work and about bringing about a resolution to homelessness. The task force meets twice a month in the conference room on the first floor to share ideas and provide input for building a long-term strategic plan. Accomplishments to date include the task force joined the Northeast Arkansas Homeless Coalition. The task force joined the Balance of State Continuum of Care, which is the federal level. The task force performed a point-in-time count on January the 26th, 2016, which is referred to as a pit count, and which on that particular day, the whole country takes a survey of homeless individuals. So it gives the federal government a snapshot of what homelessness looks like nationwide on the same day and time. The task force developed a brochure of immediate needs and services, which I brought a few copies with me. It is not finalized just yet. The number has not been activated, but I just wanted you to see the work that the task force has done. We'll let you know when the number is actually live and when you can put that number out there. The task force is developing a plan for a one-stop shop. One of the things that the task force has been discussing is that in addition to immediate needs, is that it's difficult, of course, for people who are homeless to get from point A to point B. And so we're looking at developing a plan for a one-stop shop, which will house all the services under one roof. So when individuals need their ID, they can go to this place. If they need to find out where they can get a hot meal, they can get that information there. If they want to find out about emergency shelter, they can get that information. So all the services under one roof. Also looking at being able to provide facilities for showers, for doing laundry, things of that nature. There would also be like career counseling as well. So that's one of the projects that we're looking at. We also have began development of that long-term strategic plan, which we hope to have finished by the end of the year. The staff and the task force are exploring funding options. So anytime you talk about doing this kind of work, of course, it takes money. And so we're looking at possible funding streams to fund the work. We're looking at providing a directory of services on our website. The City of Jonesboro website and Grants and Community Development has a web page or website within that. And so we're looking at adding onto that website a list of services for practitioners and others who may have a need to search. So if they have someone come into their office who's looking for housing, they will be able to go to the website, click on a link, and quickly be able to pull up housing. different categories of housing, whether it's emergency shelters, transitional shelters, or permanent housing. And this information was obtained in 2014 with the previous task force. They've already developed an analysis of services provided, and so it's just a matter of going through that huge document and putting the information on the website. Also on that website, we will provide information on homelessness, as well as keeping the community up to date on the work of the task force. Once the plan is developed, it will also be on that website. So we're looking at this website as being an informational and beneficial tool for the community and service providers. Any questions?
Emma, what defines homelessness? And can you tell us how many we suspect we have in the Jonesboro area?
Sure. Well, the federal government defines homelessness as any place that is not fit for a human being to be living. So that could be your car, it could be an abandoned building, of course it could be underneath a bridge, but that's what the government considers homeless. We sometimes like to count homelessness as people who have been displaced from their homes and go live with their grandmother because they can't pay their rent, but the government does not look at them as homeless because they are actually living somewhere that was meant for human habitation. So when we talk about government definition, it is strictly people who do not have a decent place to live, a place that's meant for human habitation to live in. And as far as the numbers, Bill, when we did the PID count back in January of 2016, this year, we counted a total of 170 homeless individuals. Now that's a 3-county area. This was the Homeless Coalition, which covers Craighead, Greene, and Poinsett County. So it was a 3-county area, but 107 people who were homeless by that definition that I just gave. And they included, there were 56 homeless females and 84 homeless males. There were 11 homeless veterans, and the average age of the homeless, I'm sorry, that's not age, that's race. There were 2 Native Americans, 14 African Americans, and 124 white homeless individuals. 45 were sheltered. By sheltered, I mean they were living in a homeless shelter or some hotel that had been paid for by a charitable organization, which is a lot of the churches in the area do that. If someone comes to them needing a place to stay, they will put them up in a hotel for a couple of nights. So that's about what we mean by shelter. And then there were 20 actually unsheltered who were just, no place to sleep, who were outside when the count was done. We counted 170, but all the task force members who are service practitioners just strongly believe that there are quite a few more than 170 in the 3-county area. Of course, most of them in Craighead is the largest county. Craighead had more than the other 2 counties combined. But most task force members believe that there are quite a few more than 170 homeless in Jonesboro. That's just what was counted on January the 26th. It's what we report to the federal government, and actually it's what the government uses when it funds homeless initiatives or homeless projects. You must have done a PID count to apply for the funds. Well, I mean, you can apply without it, but you probably not gonna get very far because they want to know that you did this count on the day that they set aside to have it done. And that's how they determine state funding as well. So the funding goes to the state, and then cities apply through the state for this funding for homelessness. So it's very important to have that count done.
How can people volunteer? You talk about it, that there's a lot of passionate volunteers involved in this. How can people volunteer?
Well, we're in the process of, that kind of flows over to another project we're working on, is a centralized volunteer program through the city. And we're setting, in the process now of recruiting volunteers. Volunteers will sign up and talk about, what they would like to do. And for those who want to work with homelessness, then they can connect with some of the many agencies, service providers that work with homeless populations, who would be glad to have volunteers work with them. So they will be able to volunteer that way. Until that happens, they can call me. I'll be glad to refer them to one of the practitioners that I'm sure would be glad to have some volunteers.
At what number?
The number is 870-336-7210.
Thank you very much, Ann.
Thank you. Any more questions?
And next, I'm going to bring traffic engineer Mark Nichols.
Yes, again, my name is Mark Nichols. I'm the city traffic operations engineer. We'll give you an update on 4 of our major roadway projects we have going on in the city at this time. First being Parker Road Extension. We have 2 under construction at this time, and then 2 in design. And Parker Road Extension was awarded to Doomy contractors, and they have the drainage work done and all the dirt work done. They've also laid down the base, and they're starting to put down the base layer of asphalt now. So they are really ahead of schedule and really moving along well. And so we're excited about that. Our roundabout at Airport Road in Aggie was awarded to Seagraves Construction out of Maynard. And they're starting to do the drainage work, and they're moving towards the base work. And they've expended 20. It's a 75 working day project, and of course that's working days or days of good weather that they can actually work. And they've expended 21 of their 75 working days. Our Highway 18 overpass project is awarded to Bridge Farmer. They're doing the design. They're out of Dallas, and we are about 60% design at this point. We are about to start right-of-way acquisition. Our right-of-way plans are about 90%, so we're about to have those complete. And we'll start approaching the property owners in regard to right-of-way acquisition and getting appraisals for property in that area. So that project's moving along nicely. And our last project is Highway 18 in Maine and Southwest Drive, and that was awarded to Fisher Arnold out of Memphis. And we are starting the environmental analysis and the design process for that intersection improvements. So.
Mark, when you say 60% design, you're saying 60% of the design is done? Is that what that means?
That's correct. Yeah, we're at 60%. So you typically have a 30, 60, and 90 plan submittals. Okay. And 60 is the big one. Once you get to 60, 90% follows closely behind. And 60, the reason why that's the big one, that's when you base off all your utility relocations off of and your right-of-way acquisition on. And those are 2 of your more time-consuming facets of the process before you can go to construction. So.
And now you said there are 21 days of 75 done on the roundabout. Mm-hmm. Is that a good enough pace? Are we worried about that running into school?
We are concerned with that running into school. It would be difficult for them to get that job complete prior to school being in session. And so we're going to do our best to maintain traffic flow in that area, and that's a top priority for us. However, they're within their limits of the contract, but they're not ahead of schedule by any means.
Okay. Parker Road, on the other hand, is ahead of schedule, is it not?
It is, yeah. Doomy is doing an excellent job. It's I don't want to say a hard day when they'll open at this time, but There's been mention of September, but that's not anything, I guess, a hard date we would put out at this time. But they're ahead of schedule, and it's moving along nicely.
And that extension will give people in southwest Jonesboro a new access and quicker access route to downtown, correct?
That's right. So it connects from Strawfloor to Washington, and so basically you'll have another option to come downtown instead of coming to Southwest Drive and Parker, which is congested. You'll have another option to take Washington into downtown. If you're at, let's say, the Parker Road Walmart and you want to come to the downtown area, or you're in that Wood Springs and you want to go to St. Bernard's, you can now come do the Parker Road extension to Washington.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
And finally, we want to have Jeff Presley, our E911 director, who has just opened up a new renovated center, and you have a big event going on right now. Jeff?
Thank you, sir. That's correct. We have just completed a major upgrade for Jonesboro Cricket County 911 Center. It's been about a 4-month project for us. This is what we call a 20-year wiring and coax replacement. So every piece of wiring, network cable has been replaced in the center. During this time, we went ahead and did a major 911 phone upgrade. We was able to accomplish this with state turnback money and some grant money. So the total phone upgrade was about $170,000. It was 100% grant and turnback money funded, and we spent about another $30,000 to upgrade the flooring, consoles, and things like that. So we did a ribbon cutting Friday. It's looking good in there. We opened up that workspace. It's going to be really nice for our dispatchers and for the citizen safety. Along with that, this week we are sponsoring the Arkansas Crime Information Center Level 2 Advanced Training. It's on the first floor of City Hall here. We're very fortunate to get this training in. They bring in a network of 22 computers and set up the training and testing right here on site. So what that does for us locally is saves us about $6,000 in training and travel. Everybody that works at 911 Center and also on the streets as police officers has to be trained on the Arkansas crime system. This is ongoing training. Every 2 years we have to be recertified. So we're very fortunate to get the groups in here from the state to do the training, and this meets our federal and state compliance.
And Jeff, you talked about the upgrade being done with state turnback money and grant money. Explain a little bit about turnback money.
If you'll notice on your cell phone bill, every cell phone in Arkansas is charged a 65-cent 911 fee. That 65 cents goes into a state board, which is called the Electronic Telephone Services Board, the ETS board. That is a pool of money there that we can apply for grants out of. Now, some of it is automatic turnback based on call volume on your 911 cell. Right now we're running about 85 to 90% call volume on 911 cell phone calls. So we get quite a bit of turnback. Last year we received over $400,000 in the 911 cell phone turnback program, along with the $170,000 for a phone upgrade.
And how long will your guests be here this week working on their training?
We will be here, or the state will be here till Thursday afternoon, completing level 2 training.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
With the improvements to the 911 system, how will it affect response times?
Well, it's going to help the responders in the field simply because of the equipment upgrades, and I'll explain a little bit of that. We are now getting in line for compliance with what they call Next Generation 911. The system that we just installed has all the components in place so the public can send streaming videos, photos, and things like that to 911, which in turn dispatchers can send directly out to the field units. Now, once the state completes their half of this upgrade, we will go live with some of those features. So it's a very good public safety tool, and we hope to see that all in place by the end of 2017.
Thank you, Jeff. Is that it?
Thank you. Any other questions?
guess that'll wrap it up. If anyone has any questions of the mayor, I'll get him available to you if you need anything. Other than that, I hope that you're seeing smart use of funds and services being provided for citizens of Jonesboro.